Hey guys, Sleepy Reader here, Damien, with reviews or thoughts on comics I picked up this Wednesday. I grabbed 5 comic books, I believe. Batman Inc., number 3. I had one of the honest comic book stores that held it back. Um, Justice League Dark, number 12. Beautiful, beautiful cover, I think. I'm loving these Ryan Sook covers on the Justice League Dark. Seems like he was made to do these covers. Uh, Punisher number 14. I think it's the end of the story or end of the arc. And I Vampire number 12. Also, perhaps the end of one arc, the beginning of another. With a guest appearance by Stormwatch, which was a lot of fun. And Captain America and Namor, number 635.1. So our point 1 issues still supposed to be jumping on issues for people who don't know much. I kind of start to wonder about that. The theme for my reviews tonight might be I'm a little confused. There's something I'm missing in most of these comics. Something that I didn't quite pick up on. But before I continue, I want to make a shout out to another reviewer, and one of the best of them, one of the longest lasting of them. And I just realized today that I've never made a shout out to him. And that's DarkAvenger CS86, I believe. Probably all of you are familiar with his work, but if you, just in case I've picked up some subscribers or some viewers who haven't stumbled across him, Chris, Dark Avenger, I'll put a link down below. He's closing in on his 150th weekly comic book reviews, because he reviews a lot, and he does nice, long, meaty reviews. Usually his weekly review has a part 1 and a part 2, sometimes a part 3. He's definitely kind of, in a way, a veteran of the YouTube community, a pioneer. And I think the only reason I never mentioned him before is because when I started, he seemed to have, so many subscribers, so many viewers. I never thought he needed a shout out. But really, we should all shout out to him. Week after week, he puts out a lot of material. Always interesting to watch his Avenger logs and his unboxings and his reviews. And now he's also spearheading the Avenger Inc. channel, which also has a comic book mom and comic book Uno and another Mike who's Spider Slayer, are all on that channel. So that's also a channel to check out. I guess I should put a link to that down below. You guys probably all know about this, but Chris does so much work. Perhaps we all take him for granted at this point. But it's also his brother Mike is on a lot of his videos, and it's fun to see two brothers working together. That's really cool. Brothers who can hang out together and have fun. So anyway, wanted to give a shout out to him, even though he probably doesn't need it. So back to Captain America and Namor. I picked this up because I've been I want to read more Captain America. This was the start of a new arc, I thought. I thought it was going to be an arc, because this seems to be Captain America's team-up book. Although it has no other title. The numbering stays the same, but the titles keep changing. Captain America and Iron Man, Captain America and someone else. And now it was Captain America and Namor, and I thought that would be a fun place to pick it up. But I guess this is a one-shot, because at the back it says next issue will be the Black Widow, which also could be cool. But the problem is, even though this is a point 1 issue, there was a lot in here I didn't understand. And I have to say, as a person who used to read almost all Marvel, but we're talking 15, 20, 30 years ago, I now find myself much more comfortable in DC, and whenever I pick up a Marvel, I'm a little worried that I won't know what's going on, or it almost seems like they expect you to be such a deep Marvel fan that you'll just get everything. So I guess the biggest stuff I didn't get, well, I didn't get the significance of the main plot, which was stopping something. What was it called? Some kind of Lemurian undersea magic thing. It wasn't called Hydra, was it? Because that would be a clue. That just occurred to me. But Namor's making some kind of deal with this covert secret group that includes only one character I know, which is Bloodstone. The rest must be characters from Marvel continuity, but I just can't figure out who they are. It's kind of cool to see a young Namor. This art is really cool, but it's really obscure to me what was going on in this issue. And the irony is that in their opening, where they give you almost no background, these pages where they give you some background, has these classic drawings by John Buscema, which to me harken back to a time when comics were perfectly clear. They always made sure you knew what was going on and explained everything to you. But the art here is great. It's beautiful art by an artist I wasn't previously familiar with, Will Conrad. And the color is very nice, although too much dark color at times makes me wonder if I may have missed something in the darkness that I should have understood. Oh no, this thing was called the Kraken, not Hydra. I mean, it kind of looks like it could be Hydra. So I almost wonder if this is like the origin of Hydra that we're seeing, and somehow Namor's involved. Maybe this is a setup for future issues. I mean, in some of the other Marvel things I've read, I get the sense that this is just like the certain issues are just setting up something later, and I need to be patient. But I just don't fully get it. I don't know what we've seen happen. But it wasn't unenjoyable to read, and just enjoy the art, and seeing Namor and Captain America together was pretty cool. World War II portrayed in a pretty cool way. So maybe someone in the comments will tell me if there's something, what I missed in here. And so that leaves me, we'll have to see. I'll look over when Captain America and Black Widow team up and see whether that looks interesting. So there's one example of I didn't quite get things. Here in iVampire, I think I followed almost everything. I read, this is iVampire 12, and I've read iVampire 9 and 10, and for some reason I skipped 11, although I was in the process of deciding to make iVampire one of my regular pickups. Just because they do vampires in kind of a cool way, despite the overuse of vampires, and the art is really cool and kind of unique. I think it's heavily photoshopped art, but it's photoshopped art that for the most part really works for me. I have in this, and particularly in Justice League Dark, noticed the habit of sort of pulling out some of the blacks and making them turn kind of a reddish brown, which makes it feel like the artwork's fading a bit before your eyes, which occasionally can be cool, but I think it's starting to look to me like a kind of overused Photoshop trick in art that makes the art a little harder to focus on. But it works quite well in iVampire. I have more complaints about it in Justice League Dark, even though it's more subtle in Justice League Dark, that particular Photoshop effect. I mean, look here, this whole picture, the blacks have been moved into some other brownish reddish kind of tone. So it's a fun story. Maybe because I'm not versed enough. A bit of a spoiler here. How can I say without spoiling too much? At the end of this episode, our hero vampire kind of magically solves the problem. But how did he do that? Did he have that power all along, or did something trigger him to suddenly have that power now? I didn't pick up on that. So there are times when there's too much magic in comics or in other stories, and when the author thinks, well, anything can happen at any time, suddenly the magic works or something. So maybe if I reread this, and if I get a hold of issue 11 and maybe read the early issues, it'll seem like this solution was paid for, was something that was earned, but it feels a little random now. But then there's a cool twist right at the end, after the solution, which makes it worth it and definitely makes me want to keep reading. Between the art and the generally very good writing, and also the appearance in Stormwatch here was done very well. Stormwatch was kind of cool. I don't know if they're going to continue on in the next issue or they'll just be gone because the main problem is solved. So anyway, fun, cool stuff. Punisher was also fun. However, there's definitely stuff in here I didn't quite get. And perhaps I can't go into it too much without spoiling it too much. Early on, we see that the Punishers collected not only Dr. Octopus's arm, but he seems to have a collection of superhero and supervillain gear. It even looks like a Spider-Man web shooter, Iron Man's helmet, obviously, a visor that is probably Cyclops' visor, and we see him doing a lot of work on Dr. Octopus's arm, taking apart his watch, taking the woman's wedding ring. All I can think of is her last name, Cole Ives. Does she have a first name? I can't even remember her first name. Anyway, I love the art in here. I know that the people who have been reading it regularly are disappointed that Chichetto hasn't been showing up so much lately, but I think this artist is extremely good for this kind of book. Then the ending, I'd be spoiling it for you guys, but there were lots of things in the ending where I wasn't sure what I was supposed to think was happening and where certain things came from. And they talked about bulletproof glass and all the security measures, and then the Punishers seemed to easily get through those security measures, and I wasn't sure how. And part of it is this is a prime example of the modern, very cinematic way of doing comics with very little dialogue, and you have to pick up the clues from the pictures. And maybe I'm not skilled enough to pick up all the clues to see how the Punisher solved his problems. So discounting that, I still really enjoyed the issue. Their final revenge, though, was, I don't know, it was kind of, after all the build-up, it was kind of easy and kind of flat. So you'd think I would have understood more of what's going on here, both because I'm an experienced comic book reader. I've now read 4 issues in this run of the Punisher, plus I read the first 6 issues in the trade that I picked up from the library to just quickly catch up. But I'm still missing pieces of the puzzle. But I'm going to still keep getting the Punisher. I really enjoy it. So, Justice League Dark. I guess I got all of this story, and it was a mostly pretty good story. We learn a lot more about Dr. Mist, and we have a new layer of villains introduced, which is really cool. Maybe someone else might have already recognized the new villain that's introduced, but this new villain is in control of the House of Secrets, while Constantine is in control of the House of Mystery. So that bodes for more sort of cool stuff happening. It's still, and now it says it's all continued from the previous storylines, but it says that it's part one of the books of magic. So it's a story that we've been building up to, and I assume it's going to continue to build. So I enjoyed it. It didn't wow me as much as I maybe hoped, because my hopes are a little too high for this. This artist draws really well. At least I think it's all actual drawing. But overlaying his drawing is, and his name is Mikhail Janin. Overlaying his drawing is huge amounts of photoshopping, and as I think I said with the last issue, it starts to distract from the quality of the art, and even knocks me out of the story at times. So I wish the artist would just believe in the quality of his own art and not feel he has to layer over Photoshop stuff with it. And I think a lot of the black tones are pulled right out of this and turned into browns and covered up in other layers. And the art's just a little hard to see. It looks a little faded away. It looks like someone did a painting and then rubbed at it with sandpaper a little bit or something. So I would love if it had more of the clarity like this cover does. That's my rant on that. I tend to obsess about art a lot. I probably even hold myself back on these reviews on how much I obsess about art and the things I love about it, and the things that little things that can kind of bug me. I'm a big reader, but I love the visual, and that's why I am a big comic book reader. So I have to say I love the way they draw Deadman. And I guess I've missed something in the Deadman continuity, because everyone seems to be able to see him. I used to think he was just this invisible ghost that no one could see except when he took over a body. But that's fine with me. It's fun to see him interact with all the characters. So anyway, if you're into the kind of magic superheroics, this continues to be very good. I think one of the things that maybe has my expectations struggling with is this a Vertigo kind style book, or is this really a superhero book? And I think the past two issues have felt more like a superhero book, where the superheroes happen to be sort of magic, supernatural beings, but it's less of the slow burn, character-based kind of Vertigo kind of book that some of the new DC seems to be. So it's kind of an interesting hybrid, bouncing back and forth in a way between a superhero feel and a Vertigo feel. And last, my favorite book of the week was Batman Incorporated, which many of you have already read weeks ago. The Matches Malone is hilarious in here. Batman's son Damian is still pretty funny in here, and he takes on a new identity. I think just a temporary little identity, which he's calling Redbird, and he says Redbird makes his own rules. It's just funny. I've more and more loved the Chris Burnham art. The more I see it, the more I love it. This is the funny Batman. It's the funny, loopy, goofy Batman, even though there's plenty of darkness and serious mixed in. And not many writers could get away with this mix of dark and light and stuff, but this is the perfect, or a perfect, Grant Morrison comic. He can suck, but here he's really great. So if that at all appeals to you, I would see if you can grab the first 3 issues. We're only 3 issues in. You can probably grab it. With the beautiful art and everything, I think it is going to be better in the floppies than in a trade, although a trade will be good eventually when that comes out. It's interesting. It's more emphasized here the the sort of vast conspiracy, covert nature of Leviathan. With its reaching into everywhere, the schools and the courts and the police department, and how it totally destroys lives and no one ever knows it. And I'm getting a lot of conspiracy theory out of a lot of different comic books. I started reading Mind Management, which is all conspiracy theory, but it seems like other comics I've been looking at have a lot of that kind of vast organizations that are secret, that are have roots dug deep into the soil of our society, which is, I don't know if there's anything generally in the zeitgeist about that. I mean, you can see other kinds of stories where global warming is obviously a big issue that's inspiring people and their fears. But this feels kind of Cold War-ish. Like maybe we have a fear of our own government right now, or our own corporations, or that we just think something's wrong and out of our control. Or it just makes a really good plot for a long-form story. These huge conspiracies wouldn't be good in short one-and-done kind of stories, but big, long stories, they work very well. So that might be part of that. So in overall, it was last week I just loved every comic book I got, and this week they were all fun. Oops. But except for the Batman, they all let me down a little bit. In this case, perhaps the art, or my expectations, but also most of them had these little plot points that I just didn't get. That maybe I was supposed to see them in the pictures and I didn't. I don't know. Another interesting thing is, you may remember that I've started to pick up Prophet. Added that to my pull list, starting with what is the 7th issue of the current run, even though the numbering starts with number 21. So this is issues number 21 through 26 in a trade, and everyone's noticed that that Saga is going to be $9.99, but I guess a lot of other Image trades are going to be $9.99. So this Prophet was only $9.99, and with my 15% discount at my comic book store, $8.50 to get 6 issues worth. That's pretty amazing, and I think it's like $6 on in-stock trades. So if you're at all curious about Prophet, you might want to pick up this trade and just see if you like it. It's well, I've only read the 7th issue, which is issue 27, and liked it quite a lot. And so I'm looking forward to this. But so it's really wild, far future science fiction, drawn mostly in a kind of, for lack of a better word, French or European style. So I'm looking forward to reading this trade. So anyway, I'm looking forward to everyone's reviews. If you're thinking about reviewing comic books, please do. I love watching, or I enjoy watching people's hauls, but I love watching people just talk about comics they've read, what they're thinking about them, or whether they're actually reviewing them or just giving out thoughts. Some people do that in haul version, which is fine, where they just show the issues they got and make a few comments about it. And some people do overly long, rambling reviews like me, or even worse, James Donnelly. But I love it that he does those long reviews, because it gives me something to listen to. I'm just so into hearing other people's thoughts about comic books. So, or if you're doing reviews and I'm somehow missing you or not subscribed to you, send me a personal message or or just leave me a comment. I will definitely subscribe to you. So I think I'm saying that because I wish sometimes I run out of reviewers to listen to, and maybe that's why I was thinking of why I so appreciate Chris and Mike at DarkAvenger C86, because they so consistently put out some nice chunky reviews for me to listen to. Yeah, so I'll be watching all your reviews and putting up more videos soon.